5 years since Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the Startup India initiative, and we are witnessing a golden chapter in the history of Indian entrepreneurship. India now has 38,756 officially recognized startups, and India is the third largest tech startup hub globally. Soon, we shall complete 75 years of Indian independence, and on this occasion, Azadi ka Amrut Mahotsav, Institution's Innovation Cell of VES College of Pharmacy, under the aegis of Mumbai University, brings to you an interview series from highly successful startup founders. We hope to build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation in the country, promoting sustainable economic growth, and to generate large-scale employment. Through these series, we shall understand the challenges of setting up a startup and how a person can generate innovative business ideas through problem identification and solving. Today, we have with us Dr. Mandar Kodgule, Chairman and CEO of IQGEN-X Pharma Pvt Ltd, and Dr. Yogita Kodgule, Chief Analytical and Regulatory Officer at IQGEN-X Pharma Pvt Ltd. I would like to begin today's event by introducing our guests for today. Dr. Mandar Kodgule has a career experience of over 20 years working in pharmaceutical companies and startups like Wockhardt, Glenmark, Ranbaxy in leadership roles, working closely with senior leadership team in areas of chemical research, formulation development, intellectual property, corporate strategy, alliance management, merger and acquisition, business development, and budget planning. Mr. Mandar Kodgule has completed his PhD and Masters in Pharmaceutical Studies from Bombay College of Pharmacy with a first class with a distinction. He has qualified the Graduate Aptitude Test Examination with a percentile of 96.42 and has ranked 7th all over India in pharmaceutical sciences. He was also a part of the Advanced Management and Leadership Program, a flagship program of the said Business School, University of Oxford, which deals with various aspects of leadership in public and private organizations. Proceeding to our next guest for today, Dr. Yogita Kodgule. She too has a career experience of over 20 years in companies like Sun Pharma, Ranbaxy, Wockhardt in areas of analytical research, regulatory affairs, auditing, and compliance. She has completed her M.Pharm and PhD in pharmaceutical technology from SNDT Women's University and has completed her B.Pharm from Bharati Vidyapith University. Talking about their venture, IQGEN-X holds the vision of building quality into products through innovative research to affordably produce safe and effective medicines, while their mission is to consistently deliver medicinal products of highest quality and reproducibly deliver therapeutic benefits which it promises on its label. They strongly believe in values like transparency, integrity, teamwork, sustainability, safety, while producing the highest quality medicines at competitive prices. It is our absolute honor to have you here with us. So we have a few questions for you, sir and ma'am.
Sure.
I would like to start with our first question. Since you have an extensive experience working in the industry, what are some gaps that you have observed and thereby attempted to rectify it with the help of your venture?
What we have seen over the last 20 years in the industry is tremendous boost in terms of the way pharma industry in India has grown. On one hand, the patent law and regulatory situation in India helped very significantly grow this industry in the early 1970s to about 2000. And after that, what happened was that so much of a pharma industry we became the global hub for the products that we are producing. So India is currently the single largest manufacturer of pharmaceutical medicines across the globe. We supply almost about 48% of medicines into the US. The US total medicines produced 48% comes from India. If you look at Europe, Africa, Asia Pacific, percentage goes almost about 60 to 70%. Overall, it produces about 54% of the total medicines. We have a very strong research field. We have a very strong operational capability. The only problem that we faced, me and Yogita, when we were working with vaccine, and other companies, is that while you have, masters and PhDs in R&D who are actually developing the products, unfortunately at a manufacturing level, you don't have masters and PhDs. You have workers who are supposed to work on process which is finalized in R&D, properly scaled up into manufacturing. And then it is supposed to be producing the same quality, batch in, batch out. So every batch you are supposed to take, you're supposed to follow the process that is being developed and then scaled up by the R&D people. That is the biggest thing. Because in R&D, if you're not developing the process properly, if you're just cutting down some of the corners, if you're not analyzing the product properly, if you're not doing the due diligence on your state-of part, if you're not using the right equipment set, if you're not using the right excipients, you may be able to file the dossier, but you will not be able to successfully commercialize the product. Because if the manufacturing people get stuck and they start doing the research, their mindset is not to do research. Their mindset is to improve the operations further from where R&D has done. They cannot go back and do the whole research again. That's the current problem. That's what leads issues to a lot of compliance issues in India. A lot of pharma companies received warning letters, import alerts, huge 483s, observations from the US FDA, import alerts from the European countries, from Canada, Australia, South Africa. And also when it comes down to doing the work for the patient. So you're actually producing product for the patient. You're not producing product for the regulators. The patient should get benefit. So what you're promising in your label, if you're not able to deliver it because you are worried about the cost, because you're worried about the profits that you're making from the product, you're going to cut corners. That was our objective, to do the research in such a way that you produce one quality product, whether it is for the US market, for the European market, or Indian market, or for Middle East market, or for African market, where the price points are different. You need different grades of materials because the price point of everywhere is different. The regulatory guidelines everywhere are different. The compliance guidelines, quality systems required for all these regions, geographies is different. Though ICH is there to harmonize, but they are different. So everyone tend to produce a different quality product for the US market. For the Europe, you have a different quality. For the domestic market, like India market, you have a different quality or you don't have a quality. So what we are trying to do over here is we are trying to produce single quality product which can sustain the pricing, which can sustain the competition, which can sustain the guidelines that are laid down by the regulators of all these countries. Also, we are trying, we faced an issue where in pharma industry, you have pharmacists, but you don't have engineers. You don't have engineers or you don't have good statisticians who can give you
data analysis,
who can do the data analysis for you. You don't have good engineers to take care of how you're going to scale up your process from 5 kgs or 2 kgs, which you're developing in R&D, to about 100 kgs or 1000 kgs that you will produce in plant. The principles of the equipment are different at both the places. How you're going to bridge that gap if you don't understand basic engineering aspects? That's where, that is another focus of ours, is that while in R&D, we will look at those engineering aspects also, which are key and responsible for producing the product day in, day out. So these are some of the issues. And also what we found out is that the transparency, many of the pharmaceutical companies are not transparent yet. Many of the research institutes are not transparent yet to their clients, to the patients, because we are developing product for the patients. We have to be transparent. Our immediate customer is our client. The second customer is the regulatory agency, but eventually our customer is patient. We are delivering product for the patient. We are trying to do what in our best capability to follow processes that are laid down by the regulatory agency, which we see there is a gap in most of the research institutes. That's why we started IQGEN-X.
Absolutely. This is something.
Yeah, additionally, I would like to see the quality of product starts from R&D level. So we can't think we have given the process and then we will do the quality control at manufacturing level. You have, even in, day out development, you have to build quality into the product. So R&D is a heart of any pharmaceutical company, which we need to look into and which is the focus of all companies should be, all startups when they are working for R&Ds.
This is something I personally saw when I was visiting your website, that there is 100% transparency. There is a promise that you will deliver what is given on the label. And I think that is something very rare that I have seen a pharma company promise as a whole. So yeah, moving on to our next question. What are some prerequisites that one person needs to fulfill while attempting to develop a startup?
First and foremost, prerequisite is what you want to do in your startup. You have to very clearly define what you want to do, and at the same time, you have to define what you're not going to do. So you have to have a trade-off, very clear trade-off, while you are starting with any vision or any idea. Now, what you want to do is then you need to define that in probably 4 ways. First, how am I going to do it? That same thing. So what is going to be my strategy? What is going to be my plan? Eventually, who's going to execute it? Who are my resources in terms of manpower, in terms of vendors, in terms of who will be my clients, and who is going to be my vendors, in a sense, suppliers, or how am I going to bridge or pool them together in the right structure. So my structure also has to be really correct. The third important thing is how am I going to phase out my plan. If I'm having enough cash, believe me, and in industry, if you're starting a startup, however cash you have is not enough when you are having a long-term vision. So how am I going to structure my expenditure? Whether I'm going to be capital rich company, where I'm going to infuse a lot of money into the capital, creating equipments, machinery, plant, infrastructure, or I'll be more of a IP heavy kind of. So my thought process, maybe I invest very less on capital, but I create something which is more important from, I'll do some innovation which will give me that IP value. Unfortunately, in India, you have to have a capital intensive industry, because everybody who's going to see you is going to see you how much operational capability you have, not just the research capability. Research, if you have a product, it has got very less value compared to if you have a manufacturing plant in India. So you may be having a manufacturing plant, you may be producing the same old generic medicine, which 10 other guys are producing, you will still be valued a little higher if you have a differentiated product basket without any manufacturing facility. So you have to have that kind of trade-off also, how much you're going to invest on capital, how much you're going to invest on IP. Fourth important thing is in terms of how you're going to invest your time, and also very importantly, how you're going to get the team support. So at what point in time you want to focus on very key areas? Because in the beginning, you might, since it is a startup, you will be looking at all aspects, like from business development, strategy, budget, finance, development. Maybe in development, you have 3 or 4 different areas, like you have formulation development, you have analytical development, you are supply chain, you're looking at your procurement processes, you're looking at regulatory, you're looking at intellectual property, quality, so on and so forth. So there are various departments. So initially, you're the one who's going to lead that. But you need to create people at every level who will take up that responsibility, who will take up that ownership, because they are not the promoters. They still consider themselves to be employees. But you have to build the confidence in them that, look, you are also one of the partners in this. Because this manpower that you have, resources that you have, those are your things. How you're going to manage your vendors. So those vendors should also have a very good connect with you. They should feel that this is my own organization where then only you're going to get the full support. When you're going to get a client, you have to tell your client that, look, I'm your extended arm. For whatever your need, I'm going to be your extended arm. Trust me. That's why we have come up with 2 of these things that count on us to do it right. That's what we are telling not only to our customers, but to our internal stakeholders also, our employees also, to our vendors also, that trust us. That's very important. And you need to phase that out properly. So you need to not just have a dream, but you need to put that dream a timeline when, how you're going to achieve that aspect.
Certain things at startup which are required is like capital. Initial capital will not be so high. So you need to focus on the areas which will be having a sustainable effect. So the practices what you are going to start on the day one should be clearly defined, or processes or procedures what you are going to adopt at R&D has to be very clearly defined on the first day. See what happens usually, people start with the companies with a small capital, and they do very short things at the initial phase to get it faster. But again, the expense or expenditure will be there after 2 years because the regulatory requirements are changing every now and then. So you have to see after 5 years what could be the requirement, and based on that you have to invest on today's R&D. So that is what is more required when planning the startup.
And always, you have to have your training and development plan very clearly set out. Who you are going to recruit, how you are going to recruit, what training, identify the training tools as you're moving forward. Give them that kind of communication, whether it is communication, not just technical training one part, but you need to give think through a lot of soft skills in terms of development of an individual. Then only that individual is going to be, feeling that kind of a comfort. So some of these things, and then most importantly, you can't ignore the funds that we require. So for funds, either you can, if you're not thinking too much on a capital intensive, this thing where you don't need a huge space or huge operation, then you can think of going to, venture capitalists or some individual donors, or your friends and relatives are the easiest ones because they trust you. That's what we did. We contacted our friends and relatives and said that, look, we have this kind of a vision dream. Would you like to be a part of this? They said, yes, we would like to be a part of this. And as we are moving forward, we started looking for more and more, investment coming from strategic partners who can become partners for us.
So as Sir rightly said, that a person needs to feel that it is his own company while giving in their contribution towards it. So that's what our next question is about. How did you transition from working for another enterprise to starting your own venture? Like having people working under you, for you, and you being responsible for this entire startup or this entire enterprise that you started. So I would like to know how was the transition for you already?
For me, it was a simple. I was heading most of the functions in Vivekanand. I was, should not say, but I was a blue-eyed boy of our chairman, working with chairman, working with presidents of across everybody, handling a lot of different areas. So, so when I was looking out for what next, the thought process was very simple. I had a couple of opportunities from various other different companies to be a CEO or to run the show for the company. Then thought that, it's better if I take a risk and do something which I wanted to do all along rather than working for some other entrepreneur. And that's where we had that talk together. And we decided right in the beginning that, as I told you, what we are not doing. We defined what we are going to do later, but we said that this is what we are not doing. And once that is defined, what we want to do was very simple.
And the question what she did, basically, see, since last 20 years, whatever we do that, even though we are working for someone, we always thought it's our own work. And that's what motivates today also. And it doesn't take us longer time to transit from that place to over here, except few changes with respect to when you are starting an organization, like regulatory requirements, then means you have to get licenses, you have to build a department like account, admin, which we have never done it. Taxation. So that's the only thing otherwise technically we were never found any problem when setting up. Since in Bukhard also we were working as it's our own company. Whatever company we have worked, we always thought of work as a priority. So it never changed.
So the legal compliance and
so that was the
financial
only transition.
compliance is a big challenge. And to begin with, we thought that hiring a right accounting firm as we outsource most of our finance activities. That helped us also. We also initially thought that we can put the HR and admin also outsource. For first 2 months we tried that, but then realized that having somebody over here is more important because HR and admin are connecting to the people directly. Finance may not be directly connecting to your employees, but HR and admin. So having those policies is very important. So contacted few of our colleagues well in advance who were doing very well in HR. from previous, and they helped. So also, while making that transition, we had to talk with a lot of experts within the area. Though we knew about compliance, though we knew about regulatory, we talked with Dr. Ejaz Hussain, who was ex-FDA, and then he's such a good scientist, what to do. And he gave us some ideas. We talked with the HR heads of various organizations in terms of what gaps they see, what kind of problems they have. And they told us to do this, do that, something like this. So we put that up. So that's a learning process for us also. And another good aspect was that one of the person who was earlier with us in the company as one of the directors is a good friend of mine. He had his own R&D setup. Own R&D setup started at least 6 years before us. So his knowledge also helped us.
His experience
of setting up the labs also helped us quite significantly. We're still good friends. He's last year he just due to his own priorities, he took an exit from the company. But he is a very good friend still, and he still keeps on helping us. We still keep on helping each other. So again, what one must remember is in pharma industry or in any industry, business happens because there is a connection. There is a trust between the two parties. We, while thinking about our own entrepreneurship, we just touched on those trusts, and it helped us.
My key takeaway from this would be, as the ma'am said collectively, that anywhere you work, treat it like your own, so that in future when someone wants to start their own venture, it would be a lot easier for working in that aspect. And as you said, the regulatory part and everything else comes late. Obviously, it does come, it's absolutely important. But treating it as like your own company is what is the key takeaway from your case. Moving on to our next question. What are some lesser known obstacles that a person faces during the early stages of starting their own company?
Well, this is very difficult question actually, because see, when you are starting on your own, see, it's very easy to get up when you are 20 years old, with 20 years experience in pharma. It's very easy to get up, get ready, and get to the office and do your job because it becomes so mechanical for you. When you come to startups and when you are coming and getting up and coming to the office every day, there will be new challenges, new difficulties. You don't know which they are. There could be HR things, there could be accounting, there could be regulatory requirement, legal could be another thing that inspector is coming to visit you or something. Anything can be, because you don't know, you have never done that. Second thing is managing the, or I can say, managing the people, talent. Because how you people will believe you that you are going to do this good, or because at the day one they don't know what is IQGEN-X. So I'm really thankful to people who really joined on the first day to us, because they were not knowing what IQGEN-X is going to do, but still they believed in us. They joined us and making their career to their expectations, their aspirations. So they are looking at you. We were established in pharmaceutical field, but people who are coming to you should believe in you and say, yes, my career is better with you. That's the highest challenge we faced when we started the company. Otherwise, you can have many people, but getting good people with you is the most important thing at the starting.
Second important thing is about getting the investments, right investments, and manage the cash flow. People, even if you have business, you have clients, you have contracts signed, you have stream of money coming. Never forget that cash flow. Cash flow is something where, because you are investing on one hand, and secondly, you have certain payment terms towards your vendor, but you have also payment terms coming for your invoices, which the client is going to pay. And all along, you can't default on your salaries. You have to be doing salaries, you have to be on taxations on time. To manage the cash flow is the biggest challenge at the startup. So, keeping some provision for that cash flow, if you are planning any new startup, plan that at least what initial funding you're looking at, calculate the cash flows properly. We learned that at least 1 year cash flow is very important. Maintaining 1 year cash flow is very important. Third challenge, as she rightly pointed out, that it's when you are working for a company, you have somebody to watch your back. Here, nobody is there to watch your back. So, what you're going to do in terms of when you're put against the wall, how you react, how that is being perceived by your employees, how it is being perceived by your client, also very important. Also very important is your thought process throughout the process. There will be challenges which will lead you to cut corners, even though it is not there in your mind. But you have to always maintain that integrity. You have to always maintain why you have started. Even in difficult times, you should be able to bring in resources through whatever means so that your operations are not stopped. That is another very important.
So moving on to our next question. What do you both believe are the qualities that are absolutely essential in a person who is planning to start their own venture or developing a startup?
In my opinion, it's your experience, which is the most important. Because unless you have experience, you don't know what could be the next problem. Okay, so fortunately, we both were having a very rugged experience in terms of pharma industry. He has worked in many fields, I have worked in many fields. So you know, even if this is a challenge, you know the answer. It will take time, but you know the path. So that is what the biggest requirement of pharma industry startup. Because see, pharma is something different. It is not like IT industry. You took a computer and start developing a program or something, or you develop something. Over here, you have to accommodate so many other fields also. So that's a challenge, and I feel you should plan properly. Your at least 6 months planning should be proper every now and then weekly planning is very important.
So I feel the secret for the success of IQGEN-X is your 20 plus years of experience, each both of you. So I think that is what makes IQGEN-X what it is, right?
Yes.
It's also, the experience as you move forward. Now, collectively, we may have about 50 years of experience. But IQGEN-X now has more than 1,000 years of experience. Because we have employees. So, one of the biggest challenge is she said, it's about managing those employees. Managing their aspirations, what they want to do. Is your corporate philosophy syncing with their own philosophy of development? That's what you got to do.
Or the individual aspirations.
Yeah.
When they are fresh out of as an M.Pharm or PhD and they want to be, work with the companies like the brand companies. And when they pay, those companies are paymasters. Why they will work with IQGEN-X? So you should know that why they will work with IQGEN-X.
I believe because their goals are more catered or their goals are more catered to a startup or IQGEN-X. Okay, moving on. If a student has a startup idea straight out of degree college, how would you recommend them to go about it? And my personal addition to this would be like a degree student wouldn't obviously have a capital background or experience or nothing for that. So what do you feel how a student out of degree college should go on?
If you ask me, for a pharmacy student, he should have an experience and then you should have a startup. And he should know that he wants to do anything after 5 years or 10 years. So he should build his experience around that right from the day one out of college. Means he should write on the paper, yes, this is what after 5 years I'm going to do as a startup or whatever, as a business. Then he should write it at the day one out of the college and get that experience. Otherwise, it's very difficult in pharma field that coming out of college, he will start the companies like Amazon or Swiggy or something like that.
But again, it depends upon what kind of startup you want to start within pharma industry. As I told you, there are so many areas that you can think of doing a startup. Even if you don't have funds, you can look at somebody has developed on somebody has also developed. So that's again a pharma related area into pharma. So you have to look at basically what in pharma I want. There are people who have, because they were having connect within the pharma industry, they started HR. Somebody is doing contractual work for many of the clients to source some of the excipients where they know they can connect the client. Many of the people who work who have good connects are doing consulting work, are bringing at least a vendor to the client or generating some amount of business. So startup, what is the idea? And the relevant experience, as she has also mentioned, pharma field is experience, requires experience. And it's not just, 1 year or 2 years of experience which we give pharma, because it's a regulated area. So experience. Yeah.
Experience is the key takeaway from this.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, I would like to know what is that one thing that has helped you to choose this or starting your own company has been the driving force for you to start your own company.
To be very frank, after WOCAD around 12 years of experience, and my total by that time the industry experience was 20 years. We always thought that what we can do next. Okay, so it was very easy for both of us to go to any high position in any other company and just do whatever the services we were doing till date, because there is nothing different for us now once you are so much experienced. Of course, there is a learning with every company, but still after 20. So this is something we wanted to explore, and of course that comes with a cost, but that is what drove us. Yes, we should try at least whether, we both are from a very normal middle class background. So we were not having the background of business or something where we will go ahead and go with the capital or something like. So just to see whether we can get a good R&D setup in next 4 years or 3 years. Even if that we have done it, we have done with the company. Because their other aspirations were fulfilled during our working with WOCAD and that's it, because we got those opportunities to work. So this is what drove us actually.
See, the biggest driver was to do some innovation, to be transparent, to produce quality medicine and get into excellence. The objective was never to make money. So we were very clear in our thought process that what we want to do. So if your objectives are clearly defined, I think that's your dream, right? That's a dream. So our focus was our dream is to where other companies are lacking in order to develop good quality standard product. That became our dream. That became our driving force.
So your idea, your dream, your goal matters a lot more than the money aspect. Like obviously,
Money will come. Look, if you're doing right things, money will come. Don't go after money.
Right.
And in pharma, at least, this is what you should be telling your investors who are coming to you. Pharma at least has 5 years of gestation period. When you start till the time you become really cash positive, or you start, your recognition comes, it takes 5 years. Minimum 5 years, because even if you are developing a product right from the scratch, it will take you 2 years for the development, 1 year for the regulatory filings and other things, and another 2 years to get it into the market. So it is a 5 years job when you see the product in the end.
When you want to do a research-based company, otherwise starting the manufacturing unit and getting into
Manufacturing, even if you get into manufacturing, it takes 2 years to build a company. Do the IQGEN-X, get all the equipments, register the products, get the approvals. So in 5 years, you're going to be commercial. So there are a lot of, it requires time. And you have to have that patience also.
A continuation to this question, our next question is, then what are the pros and cons of leading your own company? Like, what makes you feel that leading your own company is maybe better than working for another company, or maybe vice versa? Anyway.
Fortunately or unfortunately, fortunately we have worked with the good companies, so there are advantages of working with good companies. But leading your own company has the biggest advantage of decision making. Okay, when you're working with certain companies, decisions are taken up by higher management, top management. Even though you are one of them, still it will be a collective decision. It will not be your own decision. Okay, so leading your own company helps you to take your own decision. That's the biggest advantage. And whether it is right or wrong, that the time will decide. But at least you have taken that decision. That is important. It will not be dependent on people. And
The execution part.
Execution.
Execution also you decide the execution, because when you're working for some other organization, you're just heading one part of that organization. There are other 20 parts which don't go to you. So they have their own objectives, ideas, and that's where in bigger organizations, it becomes islands. So each island is not communicating with each other. At least in your own setup, you can execute things the way you want.
So basically, all the aspects reflect in a way wherein you want it to be reflected in a particular way. So yeah, that's a good advantage of that. Moving on. I think this is the last question according to the sheet, although I might have a few additions from my side. What are some common mistakes that people are bound to make during the initial stages of developing company?
Most important is not learning about your finance and accounts. For a technician, it's very difficult to begin with in terms of finance. Especially if you come from a research background, or understanding of taxation, understanding of finance is very critical. Those are some of the biggest mistakes. We also made those mistakes.
This is basically typically for technically involved people, like those who want to start R&D. Pharma company as R&D. But those who are with the finance background and everything, they will know certain things much before. So you need to have a good finance background also when you are doing a startup.
You need to quickly understand taxation. You need to quickly understand cash flow. You need to quickly understand payment terms and periods. And also you need to very quickly understand about agreements, legal aspects. What are the prerequisites for starting a research unit? How many approvals you need? From company laws and bylaws and HR laws. It's a never ending. You will keep on learning always. I'm still learning finance.
Still we are feeling like we are 5 years old kids.
But what I wanted to ask personally, since you both are together and it's obvious that you both have a wonderful experience of more than 20 years. So there might be aspects wherein your opinions might clash or like somewhere where you don't agree with each other. Does this happen?
It happens very oftenly.
Yeah.
Happens every year.
But ultimately you come to a conclusion. What are the pros and cons of
See,
relationship?
even with our employees also, we have that same, we've inculcated a culture where they can come and tell us what are their problems. They don't agree, they should not agree, in fact, with whatever is my philosophy. Right? Either I should be able to convince them or they should give me a better way.
It should not be yes boss culture in the company. Absolutely. Basically, that is what our motto is. They should come and ask us, challenge us. This thought process is not correct.
I have absolutely liked how this interview has been, and I have liked how you both consider your employees' opinions and how collectively their opinions are reflected as and they're executed in the same way. It was an absolute honor to have Dr. Mandar Kodgule and Dr. Yogita Kodgule. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for Vivekanand College for giving this opportunity.
Thanks, Dr. Neha also. And thanks for asking and doing the kind of research work that you've done.
For putting up the questions.
I'm also thankful to Reshma.
Yes.
Thanks, Reshma, and thanks, Supriya.